Rugby is very popular. It's probably the #1 sport to play in New Zealand and in Fiji as well. So I've played rugby ever since I was about 4 or 5 years old.
So all of the students at the school would always go to the first team games, and it was always kind of very prestigious to play for the rugby team. I started playing because I was quite a big lad. I wasn't extremely fit, but I ended up playing rugby, playing front row. And I just fell in love with the sport.
It's funny when I explain rugby to someone who doesn't know it, it's very easy to talk about it as a war, and as the people that you're playing with being, fellow soldiers that you're going out to battle with, and that you're trusting each other almost like a life-death situation. And that's how serious rugby can be.
Our new coach, he's definitely a good guy. All the boys on the team like him, respect him, and he's one of those guys that when he talks, everyone listens. He has some good speeches. He has a way of motivating the boys before the game, and at halftime, during the game, and during trainings. He's a really good coach, and whenever he talks, everyone just listens. There's just something about him that you want to hear what he has to say. He's a good guy.
But with that fun, and I will make it more of a absurd attitude and have more and more fun and more challenges and more enjoyment. But when it's time to switch on, I'm asking that we really switch on and we pick our standards up, and the whole goal is to be better and better and better. My name's Alex Natera. I'm an Australian citizen and a dual British citizen. My origins, my father comes from Papua New Guinea. I was raised in Papua New Guinea before coming down to high school in Australia, where I started my rugby. I came on firstly as a fitness coach through the off season, and then I quickly got promoted to assistant coach, and then only recently, the last 2 weeks now, I've become the head coach. So now it's essentially myself leading the program of 50 to 60 players here, and the management and medical kind of team that we have wrapped around our players.
The main reason for playing rugby is with the school that I went to. My father does not come from a particularly rich background, and so played football when he was growing up. But he moved out to the Gulf to work for an oil refinery, and so therefore started getting a better wage and sent me to boarding school back in the UK. And rugby is the main sport in boarding school at home. I was quite a big child, and so was able to fit into the rugby culture and style of play quite easily.
I like the contact elements of the game. I like the aggression mixed with the running and the passing skills, so I saw it as a very complete game. And then it just so happened that the high school I went down to in boarding school in Australia, they predominantly played rugby union rather than rugby league. Rugby league's very much a state school program in Australia, and I went to private school, so rugby union was the natural form of rugby that I took up and really never let go after I started playing it. Then that was really the only sport for me. Continued with a number of different sports because we kind of had to really through our school, but also because we enjoyed other sports as well. But rugby very quickly from the age of 13 was the dominant sport in terms of the one I wanted to play.
I had already previously been to the rugby football club here because my parents had worked in Qatar for 18 months or so, and I visited them on a school holiday from the UK. So I'd already been to the pitch and trained with them twice, so it wasn't a particularly alien environment to come and play rugby. It's definitely not just a game. I think to the outsider and the person that hasn't played rugby before,
it may look like just a game, but for the people who play it, it's far more than a game.
I think a lot of people would answer that it is just a game and you can just turn up and play and then leave straight afterwards. But I personally see rugby as more than a game. There's a culture behind it. Playing rugby, you're inaugurated into a worldwide rugby family. You can go to any country in the world, turn up to a rugby club, and through the language of rugby, you become accepted into a new family, regardless of what language and nationality that you speak. And that's evidence here with the 20 plus nationalities that we have playing for us in our teams. I personally love that I could move anywhere in the world to teach, and I know that I will automatically have 15 new friends just by going to the rugby club and playing rugby. So that's a big factor in me still playing at the age that I'm at now.
No, I think rugby is obviously a culture as a society, and I think there's a massive network behind it. I've never seen someone who hasn't enjoyed rugby or haven't enjoyed the environment that rugby provides. There's always been kind of like a culture behind it that is worldwide. So I played for quite a lot of clubs. I travelled around quite a lot in the UK, going to university and things like that. And no matter what club I went to, it was always the same. And coming out to Doha, going down to the rugby club was pretty much that social thing, but it was also the same rugby that I would have played back home, and the same type of crowd and the kind of similar people than I am.
If you come down here on a Saturday morning, that would be definitely, you'd see a lot of family support. Kids from 6 years old all the way through to 17 come down here and train, and most of them turn up with their whole family. So it's good to see that, the families are behind their kids and supporting them. The help from the parents, volunteering help, is crucial for the game, So not everyone gets paid, most of it's volunteer, and they come down here and help coach the kids. So that is a big part of developing the game, is having the family support.
The exceptional things here is the amount of time, of people's own time that they give up in order to coach Saturday mornings from 6-year-olds all the way up to 18-year-olds. There's the women's section, and they have over 35 players, so that is 3 teams, I think. There's 2 men's teams, so and there's a vets team. If you were to add up all the teams here, there's probably over 200 people, adults and children playing, and almost none of the coaches or players are getting paid to be here, so everything is done of their own volition.
Yeah, the culture, absolutely. The culture is what defines certainly rugby and successful rugby teams. I think you look the world over now, the most successful rugby teams, the teams that win World Cups, the teams that win Super 15 tournaments, that win Heineken Cup, European Cup tournaments, they have a very strong culture above anything. The players and the cattle effectively around all the other teams are pretty similar. There's enough talent, there's enough game understanding, but the really successful coaches drive an amazing culture.
But when we come to Doha, there's a massive expat community. So I play with people from New Zealand, play with people from South Africa, even Qatar. I've got people who I've got links with back home who I played with, and some Spanish people. I've never really had that kind of multicultural version within one rugby club. We've only got 1 or 2 people from kind of the local areas, and then it's really good in terms of kind of seeing different types of rugby and different styles of rugby as well.
Culture will be very important for us, and we're going to establish some unconditional and conditional rules, if you like, or values or expectations. Once we've established them, we're going to then define really what it is about playing rugby, why we play rugby here in Doha, and what it means to us. And then from there, we're going to start developing a culture about being honest to each other, about expecting the best from each other, and expecting a level of commitment from each other. And once we've established that, which will be a slow process, but once we've got that, and we've got our identity as a playing group and as our identity as a group of mates, then we have culture then, and that culture is going to be the driving force behind everything we've done here.
Yeah, if you just come tearing round when I've barely got my hands on the ball, it's going to be tough for me to get it for you. Yeah, go on me. Still go quick, but it's on my pace, yeah? Okay.
Unity, especially with regards to rugby, is not just on the field. I think it expands outside of the field as well. You see unity in terms of not only your team, but you also see unity within the sport and within the club. So we're the first people to congratulate after the game, but everyone from the supporters to the players are still unified. They all enjoy rugby.
You can't play the game without unity, and that's because you have to work together. There's a common purpose, and that's the ball. That's winning the ball, it's securing the ball, and then allowing people to run with the ball to score a try. And if there is no unity there, fractions happen very, very quickly. It's not as simple as football. The ball gets kicked and it's at someone else's hand. It might be in the opposition's hand. The ball can change so quickly and so often, whereas in rugby the ball can stay with you for a long period of time. And if there's no unity or synchronicity between the team, then there's a breakdown that occurs, absolutely.
1, 2, 3.
No matter what's happened on the field, when you come off it, it's always the same. It's always friendly. It's never violent. And some people get aggressive, and I'm definitely one to shout loudly, just through communication, just to try and get people in line. But no one takes it offensively.
Everyone has 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. And if you go into a game thinking that someone is less than you, less good than you, just remember that you've also just got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. So they are physically able, and if you're not right, and they're playing at 100%, and you might be bigger, stronger, better, but you're playing at 60%, that 100% all of a sudden cancels you out, okay?
I personally really do not enjoy losing. I think I hate losing more than I like winning, and so losing really affects my mood.
If you go into a match and you don't have it up here, most of it's up here, if you don't have it up there, then you're just not, you shouldn't be playing the sport. So going into a match, you really have to be ready to hurt someone and be physically 100% so you can put your body on the line.
Wanting to put your body on the line, and that's the key. The difference between making a tackle and making a very dominant tackle on someone running hard at you is all about your mindset. And if you haven't got that stage, that adrenaline, that motivation, the understanding of what it needs to take to make that tackle, you'll get bounced out of that tackle, opposition will score a try. So motivation is absolutely key. And a lot of the times, amateur players can struggle with that because they have other things in their lives. They're not paid full-time professionals, other things in their life, work, kids at school, the wife, all these other things that just distract them a little bit in their mind. And then they come to a game and they're not quite there, and that's when they get into trouble, and that's when they make mistakes. So really, it's about having in your own mindset and your own being able to motivate yourself and to switch yourself on to come to training and game time ready, 100% ready. Not 99, because that's when you get into trouble, 100% all the time. Sealing off, and I come in, I contact first, I've had no joy, and then what I do as well is try and flip you and pull you over, okay? Now you have to really fight hard to hold your shape now, okay? So he's going to do 2 things. Either going to come to the side, try and get you off the ball, you stay strong, and then I'm going to pull you, okay? You've got to resist, that's good, okay?
Preparation through the week is definitely a big thing, and the coach's done everything he could for us to prepare us for that game. But at the end of the day, it's the team that goes out onto the field. The coach can only do so much, and I guess they just wanted it more, and they done more to win the game.
You need to think working in those big numbers you have your little numbers, you have your little groups, they make up the big groups. So if you can work well in your little groups, and you'll do all your training with those little groups, and if that feeds into helping the bigger group, everyone gets along, everyone buys into it. And I think that's part of rugby culture. It's not a negative culture, it's a very positive and building up culture. If someone wants to make a mistake, you go and tap them on the back, say we'll get them next time, or let's make up for it this time, rather than turning around and shouting, why have you done that, why have you dropped that ball, or something like that. So I think that positiveness shines through, and that makes everyone come together and gel really well as a team.
My advice would be to certainly from a technical perspective, is to work on skills. To work on skills from a young age, and when I talk about skills, I'm talking about catching, passing, running, evading skills from a young age. That has to be here, because you start later, and we've got some guys here who started very late in their age group, and they unfortunately just will never get there. They're so far behind it, and they haven't developed these basic skills as kids, as young players. And the other thing is to understand more about the game. The game is about, especially when you're in attack, is about creating space and creating opportunities. And everything you do on the game creates opportunities later on. And if you understand that and you identify that, by your actions, you're making a defence do something, which creates something somewhere else. Once you get that idea and you can see snapshots almost of identifying where space is, how to manipulate space, how to execute things when you see space, then you're becoming a very good rugby player.